I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
I didn't pick to be in this family, but this is the family I was born into. And so if more people in my position can understand that, I feel like they're going to feel better about themselves anyway. It feels so disingenuous. It feels like you're not acknowledging the elephant in the room. And for me, I look at where I come from and I'm like, this is, but here's the difference. It's like, I feel like a lot of people in my position, you know, try to shy away from that, and
like they're trying to act like let's not get into that, or
like let's not get into it.
Some have separate name, different name.
Yeah, they'll change their name, or they just want to be looked at as an individual, as you know, and looked at as basically in a vacuum, basically, and just judge. Time I go on a set, I have that in the back of my mind of do people know? And if they do know,
I didn't know.
Right. And if they do know, are they judging me for it? Like, I always have that in the back of my mind whenever I go on a set. Yeah.
I'm not waiting around to get killed.
Don't worry. If you're in the phone book, he'll find you anyway.
Oh, but it's not true though. At least if I'm gonna get killed, let me die for something worth dying for.
Growing up as a Reiner was never simple for Jake Reiner, even before tragedy turned his family name into a headline. Being the son of Rob Reiner meant being laid in the long shadow of a Hollywood giant, someone admired, criticized, praised, and politicized in equal measure. From an early age, Jake's life was shaped by expectations he never asked for, expectations to succeed, to behave, to represent something larger than himself. Friends of the family have long suggested that the Reiner household was loving and engaged, but also intense in the way that public families often are, where private struggles are quietly managed behind closed doors, while the world assumes privilege equals ease. For Jake, growing up meant learning early how to exist as an individual while constantly being identified as Rob Reiner's son. That pressure didn't disappear with age. As Jake moved into adulthood, he faced the familiar challenge of carving out his own identity in a family defined by legacy. Success was never just success, it was comparison. Mistakes were never just mistakes, they were magnified by the family name. Even choosing a quieter path than Hollywood carried its own weight, because stepping away from the spotlight can feel like both freedom and failure when expectations are inherited rather than chosen. Those who know Jake describe him as more reserved than his famous father, someone who valued stability and privacy in a world that rarely offers either to children of celebrities.
Is this in any way something that they tried to shield you from?
Yeah, there was kind of a thing in my family. They didn't want any of me or my siblings to get into the
Reiner family dynamic was further complicated by long reported struggles involving Jake's younger brother, Nick. While Jake built a more grounded, structured life, Nick's challenges reportedly grew more serious over time, creating a constant undercurrent of worry within the household. For siblings, this kind of imbalance can quietly shape everything: holidays, conversations, long-term plans. It can also create guilt, the guilt of being the stable one, the one who can move forward while another seems stuck. For Jake, this likely meant living with an unspoken fear that something could go wrong even as the family worked to hold itself together. That fear became reality in the most devastating way imaginable. The deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle did not just shatter Jake's world, they transformed a difficult upbringing into a lifelong nightmare. Losing both parents at once is traumatic under any circumstances. Losing them in a violent, highly publicized event, allegedly involving a sibling, fractures grief into something almost impossible to process. Jake was forced to grieve not only the loss of his parents, but also the loss of the family as he knew it, and the loss of a sibling in the sense that sibling relationships are rarely the same after such events. What makes this tragedy especially cruel is that it reopens every unresolved tension from the past. Growing up as a Reiner already meant carrying pressure, scrutiny, and responsibility. Now, Jake must carry a narrative he did not create, but will forever be linked to.
At the end of the day, it's like, I honestly don't care whether or not you think I only got to this position because of my parents or not. And I also don't care if I know, like, for example, I'll be frank with you. The only reason I got Curb Your Enthusiasm was because my dad is really good friends with Larry David. In my opinion, it's like, I'm going to try and get the opportunity however I can.
Totally.
And then once I get the opportunity, then see if I'm good or not.
The family name, once associated primarily with creativity and influence, is now inseparable from shock and sorrow. For someone who spent years trying to define himself beyond that name, the burden has become heavier, not lighter. There is also the quiet psychological toll of survivor's guilt. Jake is here, his parents are not. He may replay memories, wondering if there were moments he missed, signs he didn't recognize, conversations that might have changed something. This kind of questioning has no endpoint. It doesn't lead to answers, only to exhaustion. And unlike private citizens, Jake's grief unfolds under public observation, where silence can be misread and restraint can be mistaken for distance. The nightmare is worsened by the permanence of it all. Parents are supposed to be the fixed point in a family, the people who anchor siblings, even when relationships are strained. With Rob and Michelle gone, that anchor is gone too. Jake is left navigating grief without the very people who once helped hold the family together. That kind of loss forces adulthood overnight, even for someone already grown. Yet, those close to Jake suggest that if there is one thing his upbringing prepared him for, it is endurance. Growing up as a Reiner taught him how to survive scrutiny, how to stay composed when emotions run high, and how to separate who he is from what others project onto him. Those lessons, learned under far less extreme circumstances, may now be the tools that help him survive this chapter. Still, survival does not mean healing. This tragedy will follow Jake Reiner for the rest of his life, reshaping how he understands family, safety, and identity. The nightmare didn't begin with his parents' deaths, but it reached its darkest point there. And while time may soften the sharpest edges of grief, the weight of losing both parents at the hands of a brother is not something that ever truly fades. It becomes part of the story, whether he wants it to or not.